Hello everyone and welcome to another Thought for the Day, courtesy of Larbert Baptist Church. We're posting this on Wednesday the 2nd of March 2022. Now, last Sunday, just a few days ago, I took as our text for the morning service the verse in James 5 and verse 11, and it says in the midst of that verse, "We count them blessed who endure." And I thought that was an appropriate and a topical text, considering all that we have been going through, all that we've had to endure in the not too distant past, and still have to endure. I also mentioned just last night at our Tuesday prayer meeting, we called, well, it wasn't a special prayer meeting, but we had a special emphasis in prayer for what's going on in Ukraine, as I'm sure many other churches have done. And I mentioned a text there which I think is very appropriate and one we ought to remember amongst ourselves, considering all that's going on and now the extra things that we seem to are having to endure. The text in question was 2 Timothy 1 and verse 7. It's very well known. And we're told there, in no uncertain terms, that God has not given us a spirit of fear, but of power and of love and of a sound mind. God has not given us a spirit of fear. Friends, with all that's going on around us, it's understandable that many people are worried, they're concerned, and a lot of people are downright afraid. I don't know where this is going or how it's going to escalate, if it is going to escalate, and where we're going to end up, what's going to happen. And yes, we can understand people being afraid. But as Christians, we're being told here that God has not given us a spirit of fear, but one of power, one of love, and crucially as well, a sound mind. Now, of course, as I said on Tuesday, you can't have a sound mind if your mind is taken up, is affected by fear. So as Christians, we very much have to set an example in this regard. Now, I want to say a couple of things about that. Because first of all, when we look at what's happening in Ukraine, we can see the Christians there taking a tremendous and a very brave stand. The vast majority of them aren't going anywhere. They're staying put and they're using their churches as points of refuge, points of help, places where people can find shelter and a place where they can distribute goods from as well. So the pastors and the church members, they're staying put, and this is all very much in the line of Christian tradition. Christians would stay and help in whatever situation, whatever disaster was to come upon them, whether it was disease, whether it was a natural disaster, whether it was war. Christians would stay put and they would help others. And they felt that was their calling, and it showed also that they did not have a spirit of fear. They weren't charging off into the distance just as quickly as they could, even though we wouldn't blame them if they did that. So they're setting a good example even now in the Ukraine and in neighbouring countries where help is needed. So it certainly seems that if they are frightened, well, they're staying put and doing what they can. They're overcoming their fear because they have not been given a spirit of fear. We've been given the exact opposite by the Lord. We've been given a spirit of peace from the Prince of Peace. And we have that peace that passes understanding. And no matter what our circumstances are, nobody nor nothing can take that away from us. Now, that all seems for a lot of people a wee bit further afield. I don't think it's just as far away as we often like to think it is. But that's a wee bit further afield. What about here at home? Well, can I just spend a few moments talking about our young people? And this isn't just me talking, friends. This is what I'm getting from teachers. This is what I'm getting from the high school, still in the chaplaincy team at Larbert High beside us here, and also through other teachers that are in the church and that I know and have been talking to. It's about our young people, because their lives really have been turned upside down in this last couple of years. They've had great difficulty in dealing with the pandemic, the isolation, the change to their circumstances, the way it's affected their lives, not least their school life and all their exams. So they're trying to wrestle with this. And those teachers who especially are in pupil support and trying to help and encourage pupils, they're being inundated with young people, teenagers, who just are having difficulty coping. They're struggling and they need help. Now, on top of that, now has come this war. Now, to them, it seems as if it's a faraway place, but we know the world is a small place. And on top of trying to come to terms with the effects of the pandemic and get their education and their lives back on track, now we have these stories coming from the news, through the media, about explosions and missiles and bombs, and the spectre of nuclear war has even raised its head. So you can imagine again that this isn't doing our young people any good. So what I'm suggesting is, and I'm sure many of us are already doing this, but what I'm suggesting is that we set an example for our young people. We're taking our example, as I've already said, from those Christians who are standing firm in horrendous circumstances, nothing like the circumstances we're having to endure here at the moment. But we can take an example from them, and we too can stand firm. And I don't want us, as more mature Christians, as older people who are Christians, I don't want us either to have a spirit of fear or to show a spirit of fear. Because as we are being set an example by Christians elsewhere in the world, so we have to set an example to our own young people. And if they see us running around full of anxieties, full of fear, not wanting to do this, not wanting to do that, and if they look at us, that will be transmitted to them, and they'll say, well, if it's okay for us to be afraid as grown-ups, what's that saying to the children? That they should be all right being even more afraid? I don't think so, friends. If we can just take verses like 2 Timothy 1 and 7 to heart and realise that we haven't been given a spirit of fear, and we want to convey that to our young people. So if we can set them an example, it will help them. It will help them overcome whatever struggles they have at the moment, because we have to be there for them. And it would be wonderful if we could do that in an effective and an efficient manner. So I like to think we will be able to do that. We will be able to stand up and do what is right and proper. And as I said, the Lord will give us the strength, not only dispelling any fears that we would have, but able to show others, not least our young people, that that's the correct way to go. Friends, I'm not saying it's going to be easy, but these are difficult days. And as I said on Tuesday, it is not the time to be afraid. It's the time to not have a spirit of fear, but rather one of power, one of love, and of course, one of a sound mind as well. Okay, thank you for listening. Please try your best as you keep safe and as you go about to set that example to our young people and help them along the road to recovery, which is of course the road that we're all praying that we are on and will continue on. Okay, thank you for listening, and I look forward to talking to you again soon. So until then, bye for now.